If you're planning on doing long distance travel or multi-city travel in Japan as a tourist, the JR Pass is the best value for you. I got a 14-day pass for my 20 days in Japan. It costed me $439. I got mine at a local agency. You can buy yours online as well, but the bottom line is to get it while you're abroad before arriving in Japan, because you'll get it for a couple dollars cheaper. So before I talk about my itinerary with the pass, I think it's important to frame the travel style I did. So for this trip, I was a budget traveler. I often stayed at the cheapest place with travel considerations in mind, and often these were hostels that were near JR stations. I also tend to avoid most tourist traps. I missed the Itinerary shrine, I skipped the Nara Deer, and I didn't go to Team Lab in Tokyo. And I often seek out kind of more local experiences. I know it sounds cliche. And then I really love contemporary and modern art at the intersection of technology just really gets me going, and you'll see that I traveled to some cities specifically for the art. And lastly, I traveled during the New Year holiday season, which affected some of my timing, where some places would have been closed had I incorporated it in a more efficient route. So keep that in mind as I go through my route. So I activated my JR Pass my second day in Japan, and it was for a day trip from Osaka to Yoro. And I was in Yoro because I wanted to see the site of Reversible Destiny. I'm going to make more videos going more in depth on the places that I went to. This video is really meant to serve as an overview. But yeah, absolutely worth it. It was so much fun. The total of this trip would have been 15,520 yen, and it was a 6-hour back and forth commute. The next day, I went from Osaka to Naoshima, which is an island known for its contemporary and modern art. The total cost of this trip was $7,840, and I used a combination of the JR Pass and a local boat company, and the total travel time was 3 hours. I stayed the night in Naoshima, and the next day I traveled from Teshima, a sister art island, to Kobe, and this was also a combination of the JR Pass and a local boat company. And I didn't really have a destination in mind for Kobe. I just wanted to see what it was like, and it seemed like a good middle point in between like the Naoshima Islands and Kyoto, which was my destination the day after. This trip would have cost me 6,160 yen, and it was a 3-hour commute. The next day, I took the JR from Kobe to Kyoto. This trip would have cost me 1,450 yen, and it was about a 2-hour commute. So I stayed in Kyoto for about 2 days, and the day after I traveled from Kyoto to Kanazawa, specifically for the 21st Century Museum, which was unfortunately closed the day that I went, but Kanazawa is a cool city nevertheless. This trip would have cost me 7,240 yen, and it's a 3-hour commute. I stayed in Kanazawa for one night, and the next day I traveled from Kanazawa to Iyama, because I wanted to see the snow monkeys and I wanted to do some skiing in Noazawa. And this trip would have cost me 7,240 yen, and it was a 1-hour commute time. So I stayed in Iyama for one night, and then next day I took a trip from Iyama to Ikebukuro, which is basically northern Tokyo, and this station is pretty accessible to both the north and south parts of Japan. I really didn't have an itinerary at the time from this point on, and so I figured staying in Ikebukuro would have given me options. And so I stayed in Ikebukuro for the next day. I was so tired, and the day after I did a round trip from Ikebukuro to Sendai and back to Ikebukuro. I was in Sendai mostly because I wanted to do some shopping. This trip would have costed me 22,400 yen, and it was a 4-hour total commute. On my last day of the JR Pass, I really wanted to utilize like the most value of this pass, but on that day I got so much decision fatigue and ended up just going from Ikebukuro to Osaka and back, because at that point I decided that Osaka was my favorite city in Japan, and I wanted to do like a last visit before I didn't have the opportunity to travel as freely. The total cost of this trip would have been 29,440 yen, and it was a 6-hour total commute. So in total, had I not gotten the JR Pass, I would have had to spend 105,860 yen. So with the travel that I did, I basically saved $524.25.